everyone, my name is Jenna, but you guys can call me Jen, and welcome back to my channel. Welcome to my third book haul of the year, I want to say. We are in fall now. I wanted to kind of go over some of the books that I've recently purchased and acquired since about midway through August. I believe that's when I did my previous haul, and there's a fair few of them here. So we're just gonna kind of go through it. Before we dive into anything, I want to go over first the two books that I got from publishers, mainly an ARC and a finished copy, which I have read both of now. The finished copy was from Penguin Random House. They kindly sent me this one, which is very lovely. Thank you, Penguin. This book wasn't for me. I didn't really love it that much. It's on the edge of stream of consciousness, and I wish it had leaned into the creepy factor more. The main character was too obsessed with having a baby and thinking that would fix all of her problems with her marriage and her husband, so didn't really like this one very much. But it is a slightly spooky book where a mother-in-law kills herself in the basement and proceeds to haunt her daughter-in-law and her son in different ways and tries to tear them apart. It's an interesting one. It's an interesting one. I think I gave this 2 stars, 2.5 stars, but my friend ended up reading it afterwards and said that she enjoyed it. So I just think it was not for me. So there it is. The other one was from HarperCollins, and it was one of their ARCs for a book that is now released as of September 13th. And this is Vendelpunk Bruja by Desideria Mesa. This is a Mexican folklore inspired book about a woman in the 1920s, roughly, who is trying to make it as a club owner in a very masculine, mob boss oriented world, all at the same time trying to balance her magic powers and stuff like that. So did enjoy this one. I think I gave it 3.5 stars after reading it. It was just okay for me, but I think a lot of people will really like this one. All right, so those are the 2 books that I got from publishers that were gifted to me. A couple other books that were gifted to me as well through my friends were these 3. My lovely friend Hannah just moved back home to where we live, and she was getting rid of some books that she and her boyfriend have doubles of, or that she just didn't want anymore. So I got 3 of them. I picked up Finnegan of the Rock, which is a book that I have been wanting to read since I think I began my book internet situation back in like 2017 when I was back on Bookstagram. This is by Melina Marchetta. I don't know why I've been so into this book and wanting to read it, but I am. This cover, exceptional old YA fantasy cover. But yeah, Finnegan of the Rock is the first of a YA fantasy series that I know nothing about. All I know is that a lot of people seem to really like Finnegan of the Rock. So I also picked up one of the fantasy books that she didn't end up liking, but I'm intrigued by either way, and that is Song of Blood and Stone, which is by Elle Penelope. This looks really cool and it's written by a POC author, so I'm down. I am 100% down to give this a try. I know very little about it. Apparently it's a treacherous, thrilling epic fantasy about an outcast drawn into a war between 2 powerful rulers. I'm intrigued by it and will read it at some point. Then I also picked up a classic for sure, which is a Ursula K. Le Guin, Left Hand of Darkness. This, I think, is her and her boyfriend's one of their favorite books. They have many copies of Left Hand of Darkness, so they got rid of this little baby one, and I took it because I think I should read more of this. This is sci-fi, right? Yes, an alien world, yes. So I'm intrigued to dive in to more of the quote-unquote classic sci-fi there is out there. This was also my birthday month as well, so I did have some more books gifted to me, which I totally forgot about. Let's talk about the birthday books. Phoebe, a lovely viewer here all the way from England, sent me a package including many beautiful, wonderful things, but that included these 2 books. She sent me 1,000 Ships by Natalie Haynes and The Binding by Bridget Collins. Both of these were on my wish list and things that I've been meaning to read. 1,000 Ships is a retelling of the Trojan War, I do believe, through the eyes of the women who were part of the Trojan War, and The Binding is a literary fantasy about a bookbinder, which I am so intrigued to read and is on my like immediate TBR because apparently it's very fall. So, but I picked up these 2 for myself on my birthday as a birthday treat to myself. I picked up the Spear Cuts Through Water by Simon Jimenez and George R. R. Martin's Of Fire and Blood, or Fire and Blood, not Of Fire and Blood, which is what the House of Dragon is based on. So I wanted to pick both of these up for different reasons. The Spear Cuts Through Water, I've heard that it is a wondrous, new and inventive and wonderful look at fantasy, which has an interesting narrative style, I think. I've heard, anyways. And A Fire and Blood, I want to read the book that the show is based on because I haven't yet watched the show because I don't have Crave or HBO. So I picked this up, and I do really like George R. R. Martin's books, as you can tell by my collection here. I really enjoy his writing, so I wanted to add this to my collection, which I did. But yeah, these were my birthday treat to myself. All right, now let's dive into the books after that birthday haul that I actually bought. I have a stack of books here that were placed on an online order through Book Outlet, so you know, cheap books. But I originally placed it because I saw this hardcover version of Harrow the Ninth on there, and I, at the time, was swapping out my paperback of Harrow and Gideon to prepare for Nona the Ninth because my Nona copy is hardcover, so I wanted them all to match. So I saw this one on Book Outlet and I was like, that's mine. And I have since reread it and loved it, and also sort of sprayed the edges through my annotations, if you have seen my annotation style, but that's what this is. It didn't come with this. I did this, but then part of that same order, I also got Trail of Lightning by Trail of Lightning by Rebecca Roanhorse, which is the author of Black Sun. This is one of her other books that I've been really meaning to get my hands on and read, and I've heard good things about it. Not enough things about it, but I've heard good things about it, and I don't really know what it's about, but apparently it's very good. So I'm gonna read it. Then I also picked up Sight Witch, which is, oh, you can't see it, it's up here, a part of the Susan Dennard's like Truth Witch series. And if you remember, I read that back in July. I read the first book and I got like so into it, and I have the other books above me that I'm hoping to read before the end of the year. This is part of that series as a novella collection. I can't remember exactly where it falls in between the books. I think it's like 2.5. I picked it up when I saw it on Book Outlet because I was like, oh, there's no other way I would probably get my hands on this, so we're gonna pick it up. Another sequel is The Voyage of the Basilisk, which is the third book in the Marie Brennan, like almost Jane Austen Victorian-esque fantasy series that I love. And I saw it and I was like, yeah, I might as well, because I have the first two on my shelves there, and I actually ended up hauling the fourth one as well later on, but I'll get to that. But picked it up as well. Third book. We love to see it. The last one in this order is another sequel of a book that I read through my library really early this year that I really, really enjoyed, which was, I believe, oh God, what was it called? City of Lies? City of Lies. That's what it was called. But this is the second book, Hollow Empire by Sam Hawke. I believe this is the second and last in the duology. I am pretty sure, but I really, really enjoyed City of Lies. It was a really in-depth, wonderfully written fantasy novel with two disabled main characters. Our two siblings are disabled in different ways. Our brother is on the neurodivergent spectrum, and our sister has a chronic illness. So I don't know, I thought it was really interesting, and it was filled with palace intrigue, especially with the point of view of our two main characters, who were not necessarily the bigwigs in this palace. They are the poisoner's like son and daughter, or nephew and niece kind of a thing. So they get embroiled in this really interesting situation. But yeah, this is book 2 in that series. All right, next I picked up my friend Sarah Sutton's book, Teaching the Teacher's Pet, which is the first book in her new series that she's doing. I believe as of today is what, Wednesday? As of yesterday, she published the second in this series. She is just knocking out books like left and right, and it's amazing. But I picked up this one because I support my friends. So I love her books. They are the only YA contemporary books that I will read at this point, because even though I am a cynic and I really don't like reading YA anymore, these books make me believe in love again. So I had to pick it up because I adore her and I adore her books. So I will be getting the next one, Something About the Boy Next Door. Then I made an order based off of a TikTok that I saw, which is Meg's Tea Room. I've talked about her before on my channel. She is a cozy fantasy queen. We love her to pieces. And she has a whole list of cozy fantasy books that she recommends all the time. And as you guys might know, I am currently in the middle of filming a cozy fantasy reading vlog where I am trying to find more cozy fantasy that I absolutely love, because Legends and Lattes is my favorite book of the year, and I'm also currently writing a cozy fantasy series. So I wanted to branch out and grab these two because she made a TikTok about them, and I was like, well, damn it, now I have to get these. And I'm so glad I did, because they are these two books. We have The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches by Sango Mandana, which I have read, and it is now a new favorite book of all time. and The Ogress and the Orphans by Kelly Barnhill, which I have not yet read, but I have read part of another Kelly Barnhill book. I'm really enjoying her writing, so I'm very excited about this little middle grade because they are so cute. The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches is a beautiful book. It is, if you want another book like Legends and Lattes meets The House in the Cerulean Sea, it follows Mika, who is a witch, and in this society, witches are supposed to stay apart because if you have witches all together, more magic comes to them and thus disaster can strike. So they all stay very, very apart. But every once in a while, I think every 3 months, they come together just to update everyone on their stuff and things that they found and more potions and spells that they've made. But so Mika is a part of this, and she gets reached out to because she also has a social media presence where she pretends to be a witch online, wherein she actually is a witch, but she like is taking over this internet persona of being a witch, share her magic online in a safe way. But she gets reached out to by this group of people who are taking care of 3 magical little girls, and they need a witch to help. And so she goes and she meets this beautiful family of people, and she ends up helping them and also falling in love with the guy who's like basically the girl's dad. And oh, it's just so sweet and lovely and amazing, and the magic in this is wonderful, absolutely delightful. It's a new favorite of all time, and I will be reading this over and over and over and over and over again. This I know nothing about because I have yet to read it, but I will be reading it very soon, and it is a very cute little middle grade that is apparently really wholesome. Ooh, the next big thing that I did, there was a book fair here in my city that has not been on since before the pandemic. So my friends and I made a day and we all went together, and I told myself I wasn't gonna go crazy, and then I came out of it with like 14 new books. So you can actually see some of them here. I picked up books 5 to 10 of the Wheel of Time, and I didn't want to take them off my shelves because they are so nicely stacked here. So I'll take up a close-up video for you guys to see them. Books 5 to 10 of the Wheel of Time, and a bunch of others. Okay, so I hauled these before in that vlog that I made for that book haul, so I will just run through them really, really quickly. I picked up The Grace of Kings by Ken Liu. I picked up Rhapsody by Elizabeth Hayden. I picked up The Fool's Errand by Robin Hobb. Senlin Ascends by Josiah Bancroft. The Traitor's Blade by Sebastian de Castell. The Black Prism by Brent Weeks. And the 4th book in the Marie Brennan series, except for this one is special because this one is an arc. So as soon as I saw it, I was like, I just knew I needed to have this in my collection because it's an arc, and I know you're not supposed to resell arcs. So I don't know, it's just whenever I see an arc in like a thrift store or in a book fair like this, I automatically pick them up because I'm like, I need to keep them safe because I don't know why, I just feel like that. But yes, this is the 4th book, which is The Labyrinth of Drakes. So that is a little book haul. I believe I went into a little bit deeper depth about all of these in that vlog. So if you are curious, you can go look at them there, but there's a lot more books to go through, so I didn't want to rehaul them as I did in that video because I've already done it. I think that like the following day from that book fair, I ended up going to Walmart and finding this, which is a YA book that I've been intrigued by, and it is blurbed by Sharon J. Zhao, which I trust their blurbs. I don't know, but that is Monsters Born and Made by Tanvi Burwa, which is a very cool cover, and I know nothing about it. It just has the tagline on the back that says, "You swim with monsters, these people cannot scare you." I'm into it. When I was staying at my parents' house, I decided to make a book order, because why not? And I picked up 3 books. I picked up Joe Abercrombie's The Blade Itself, because I have now taken this book out of the library twice and have renewed that book 5 times, and I just have not picked it up yet. I decided to just buy it myself and read it properly, where I can like annotate it and actually like mark up the copy, because I think that'll be a more enjoyable reading experience for me, reading this dark, grimdark fantasy that I'm hoping to get to this wintertime, because it feels like a wintertime book now, even though I've been reading it since the summer. But I also picked up The Sunbearer Trials by Aidan Thomas, which is a YA fantasy book that I've heard amazing things about, again, from Meg, from Meg's Tea Room. She's been raving about this book, and a lot of other TikTokers have been raving about it as well. It is a very queer, wonderful book that is by the author of Cemetery Boys. So I'm very excited to read this, because Cemetery Boys was surprisingly really enjoyable for me, and there are very few YA fantasies that do it for me anymore, and I trust Aidan Thomas, so I can't wait to read this. Then I picked up this cute little middle grade, which is Aggie Morton, Mystery Queen, which I have read the 2 previous books for a vlog. I believe I did it like a couple Christmases ago during my Christmassy vlog because one of them is Christmassy, but this is by Marthe Josselin. This one specifically is The Dead Man in the Garden. These are based off of Agatha Christie's books, and they're just a lovely little middle grade series that I absolutely adore. It's set in like Victorian or Edwardian era, and they're just so enjoyable. I really, really like these, and they are just lovely. I enjoyed them so much. But yeah, this is book 3. Because I was influenced yet again by TikTok, I picked up another book, and then because I was making the order, I was like, I might as well get this one too. So I did. But I picked up Thistlefoot by Jenna Rose Nethercott. I have never said that name out loud. But yes, this is Thistlefoot. This is apparently a Jewish fantasy book, and I think it has something to do with the Baba Yaga because this is the house with the chicken feet. I think that's the Baba Yaga myth. I could be entirely wrong. Yes, the Yaga siblings, literally in the first line. But yes, I'm excited to dive into this. I've heard good things about it, but it's also apparently brutal. So we love it. And in that same order, I picked up Spear by Nicola Griffith because this is my favorite novella that I've ever read. And I needed to get my hands on it because I want to reread this and like annotate it out because it's beautiful and I love it. This is a Camelot story retelling. I can't remember exactly which which story it's based on. Peretur, who is a person from Camelot whose name changes a lot in the retelling of his myth, but this is a gender bent retelling of that, which I love. All right, last 2 books, my friends. We also have the pre-orders, so the last 2 books before we get to the pre-orders. But I ended up picking up The Blood Trials by N.E. Davenport recently, which is apparently a really, really good sci-fi duology at the start to one, so I'm into it. I really know nothing else about it, but I'm here for it. And I also picked up another indie book, which is Can't Spell Treason Without Tea by Rebecca Thorne. This is another cozy fantasy that I'm so excited to dive into because it sounds a lot like the cozy fantasy that I'm writing, so I want to see how it's done, and I want to see how other people are doing it. But this will be featured in my cozy fantasy vlog, so fear not. I will be talking about it soon. But yes, all right, so the pre-orders. I don't remember which pre-orders I last talked about in my last haul, so we're just gonna talk about them again? Possibly. I ended up getting my pre-orders for The Book Eaters by Sunny Dean, which I have since read and enjoyed. This is a very interesting thriller fantasy that like turns fairy tales on its head. It's very interesting. And then I also got The Orleander Sword by Tasha Suri, which is one of my favorite books of the year and of all time. 5 stars. It's a sequel to The Jasmine Throne, which is another one of my favorite books. I just love it so much. And of course, I also got my pre-order of Babel, something by R.F. Kuang, and Nona the Ninth by Tamsin Muir, which I have already read and adored. But yes, my friends, those are all the books that I have since hauled since the midway through August, I guess. Hopefully there's not going to be too many more hauls this year because I don't plan on really buying a whole lot of books in the next few months here, or in the next 2, I guess, because it's already almost the end of October. We're looking at literally the 31st is Monday. Anyways, my friends, thank you so much for hanging out with me. Let me know down below if you've read any of these books or if you're going to pick up any that I mentioned today, and I will catch you in another video very soon. Stay kind and keep on reading.